All right, 30 seconds. We begin our last game of our Malice in the Mountains tournament. We're going to have the Wasatch Midnight Terror going up against the FoCo Microbruisers. Microbruisers in the light blue, Wasatch Midnight Terror in black. I'll go over the rosters here quickly. FoCo Microbruisers, 010 Sid Vicious, number 15 MDK Demolition, number 20 Dead Zeppelin, 211 Mama Crass, 29 Gonzo, 313 Haterade, 514 Parks and Rec, 555 Spilly Idol, 626 Peter Panic, 707 Bowser, 77 Tiffy Twister, number 80 Breezy, 96 Jacqueline Hyde, and 999 Fireball. Their coaches are Public Emily, Georges St. Pierre, and Sticks and Stones. For the Midnight Terror is 1028 Roller Bear, 1039 Lavender Menace, 172 Pikachu, number 22 Off the Rails, 2324 Furious George, number 25 Knuckles, 254 Ultraviolet, 314 Bip, 394 Skates and Ladders, 7734 Eve Hell, 777 Colonel Skirts, number 8 Taco Del Mar, 801 Orange Crusher, number 93 Devil's Ivy, and 999 Glow Job. Their coaches are Effin and Lee Tigre. And we are off Spilly Idol going up against Knuckles. Spilly Idol in the light blue, Knuckles in the dark. Both tripods matching the lateral movements of these jammers. Up top is Knuckles trying to get through that tripod. Where Spilly Idol is between the jam and pivot lines trying to get by that tripod. Lead's still open. Looks like we're going to have a tough defensive battle as we've been seeing all tournament long. The jammer's going to have to work hard for getting that lead position and then getting the points afterwards. We do have a direction call being called on Bip, the pivot for Wasatch. Go to the box for 30 seconds. And now it is Spilly Idol being recycled back. However, Knuckles still at turn number 2, stuck up on top there. We are past 1 minute left. Knuckles with some footwork, but no, drawn out by Gonzo, and now going to be recycled back. Spilly Idol now being recycled back by the Wasatch team. 38 seconds left in the jam. Knuckles looking for a way through. Bip now back on the track. Looking to provide some offensive help for Knuckles, and does so, but it is Breezy hitting down Knuckles. Good save by Breezy to prevent that lead from being taken. 15 seconds left. Spilly Idol fighting to try to get by the tripod, very solid. Both these walls are extremely difficult. And it'd be interesting to see if this keeps up all jam long. So our first jam, 2 full minutes, lead not being assessed. This is going to be a tough matchup here. We have Roller Bear for Wasatch going up against Sid Vicious. Sid Vicious has the highest amount of points scored in a jam so far in this tournament with 20. This has been a very low-scoring jams in this tournament. Sid Vicious punching their way up top at round turn number 1. Roller Bear, quick movements getting through. Briefly down, back up. Sid Vicious being met by Taco Del Mar, and it is Roller Bear that is through first. Roller Bear now on their scoring pass, while Sid Vicious goes to the penalty box. And now we have a power jam. We have a forearm call on Taco Del Mar of Wasatch. Nice dip inside, frees out Roller Bear for 4 points. Now on the second scoring drive, getting some offensive help. Getting pushed around, finally down though. Gonna play some passive offense now as Sid Vicious comes back into the track. Freed is Roller Bear for 4 more points. Sid Vicious, nice move to get around on the outside. Now Roller Bear looking for some points as Sid Vicious comes around. Goes down, calls it off. But no, we have a penalty. No, it appears, I believe Roller Bear was going to call that off, but it doesn't look like lead was given to anyone, so no one can call it off. So Sid Vicious back to the penalty box on a back block. So we'll also, Roller Bear with 12 points. Unable to get the last points. Looks like they will end with 15 points. The Micro Bruisers, though, did put up a point on that, so they are on the board. However, this will be a power start advantage for Wasatch and for Devil's Ivy with the Jamstar. Some penalty trouble hurting the Micro Bruisers here early. They only have 2 defenders out there. Nice screen by Wasatch, but Gonzo and Breezy are right there. Amazing tandem work by these two. Now Breezy up against Devil's Ivy, but Devil's Ivy is free for a lead. The bench is now starting to clear up a little bit for FoCo. Sid Vicious back out there. Crashes into the seam, looking for a hole. Meanwhile, it is Ivy calling that off after getting hit down. Did manage to get 3 points on that to extend Wasatch's lead. And Tiffy Twister versus Glow Job online. 2 very strong jammers. Tiffy Twister in the light blue. And the penalty box is clear. So everyone's out on the track now. Crashing hard into the line are both the jammers. Glow Job looking to try to get some distance. Tiffy sees an opening, but it is plugged up, and it is Glow Job out first. And we do have a forearm called on Tiffy Twister, so this is going to be another power jam opportunity for Wasatch. Hard hits going out on the track. They have another forearm call. We'll see who's assessed to. That is assessed to one of the FoCo pivot. And we have a no pack called, but now that is reformed. Glow calling for some offense, looking for it. Good penalty kill, though, by FoCo. FoCo doing a very good job of stopping Glow from racking up a whole lot of points there. Tiffy back on the track, knocked down by Taco Damar, assisted by Ultraviolet and Colonel Skirts. Tiffy taking some hits, but staying on her feet in the track. Now Glow still trying to find a way through. One more to beat has Glow, and is stopped. Nice stop. Jacqueline Hyde with a great save on that. But not before Glow got that point. Now Furious George up against MDK Demolition. Now this jam's gonna start right up on the line. Yeah, as tough as these walls and these tripods that are set up by these 2 teams, you know, setting up right at that jam line is gonna halt that momentum early. MDK Demolition, though, with a hard hit to push past and get lead. Now on a scoring run, coming through. Good, strong offense by Bowser, clearing out a path for Demolition. MDK Demolition now being recycled back by Orange Crusher. We do have a star pass though, and that is Bip, the jammer for Wasatch with the star, who, despite taking some hits, is now the jammer for Midnight Terror, forcing the call off. 6 points though for MDK Demolition. Wasatch down a blocker as we start again. Billy Idol up against Knuckles. That's how we started at the top of this game. Definitely see quite a few jammer duels as these games go on. Certain jammers are always facing off against each other, it seems. Neither of these jammers were able to get lead the first time they were out. Went a full 2 minutes. They're very difficult walls for these two. Looks like we do have a high block call on Eve. Eve will go to the box for Wasatch. Knuckles up on top, still trying to get through the tripod. Billy Idol also trying to find a way through now at the pivot line. Both these jammers stuck. Colonel now trying to provide some offensive help for Knuckles. Still though difficult with these tough walls. Also still trying to maintain pack as well. We're kind of exactly where we were at the beginning of the game, with Knuckles stuck up at turn number 2 and Billy Idol at turn number 1. Colonel Skirt's providing some offensive help for Knuckles. Knuckles still unable to get through. Billy's still stuck behind the Wasatch tripod. Looking for some offensive help, but still not able to get by. Lead still open as we are in the final 4 seconds. And once again, that jam goes full 2 minutes with no lead. Now Sid Vicious back out in the light blue up against Roller Bear. All right, quick move to the inside sends Vicious out for lead. Now looking to roll up some points for FoCo. Quick moves and through. Sid Vicious definitely capable of a high scoring jam. Putting up 20 earlier, this can really affect that score. See what Roller Bear can do to get out of this this pack that she's caught up in. Now Sid Vicious being drawn back by Orange Crusher. We do have a star pass though, so now it's Bip once again with the star pass. Sid Vicious, nice moves. Getting past the blockers right on the inside of the track there. Get 4 more points, total of 8. And now we are in a 7-point game, 22-15. Tiffy Twister out there against Devil's Ivy. Both jammers kind of punching up the middle there. It's Tiffy Twister being drawn back. And it is Tiffy Twister. Finds a way amongst all those bodies to get through, gets lead position. Ivy's still looking for a way out. Wasatch, while ready for Tiffy Twister, she crushes into that tripod. And it is Ivy out of the pack now. And Tiffy Twister calls that one off. Does rack up 2 points though. And that is a 5-point game. Now we have Glow Job up against number 15, MDK Demolition. And we are going to have a team timeout called by FoCo. That is going to be 1 minute for them to kind of regroup. They've been on a bit of a roll here as the Micro Bruisers, so I'm sure they want to maintain that momentum as they go forward. See if they can get a lead change here as we approach the halfway point of this game, or of this half, first half of our game. And we are back into it. Glow Job for Wasatch out there going up against MDK Demolition. And we are off. Wasatch goes to the inside as Demolition goes to the outside. Now some lateral movement shown by both skaters to try to get around these tripods that are forming up. Very good regrouping by both of these teams defensively. Now it's Orin Crusher and Bip holding up MDK, now joined by Eve up at the turn number 1. Glow looking for a spot, but does step out and it has to be drawn back. Demolition also trying to work laterally to get around that tripod, but with no success so far. And both of these jammers are stuck up there at turn number 1. Demolition being drawn back by Bip. Now Glow still trying to push through, but is not finding a way out. However, Demolition getting some offensive help by Gonzo to see if they can get through, but also have to maintain pack, so not able to keep up with that offensive help. Meanwhile, we do have a penalty now. We'll see, it is a Wasatch blocker that is being sent to the box. And we have a track cut on Glow, so now we have a power jam opportunity for FoCo, and this could be what they would need. There's time on the clock. By the time this expires, it will also have a power start advantage as well. So let's see what Demolition can do. Demolition through, still has Bip to beat. Did they get all 4 points? They got 3 points on that. Unable to get by Bip for the 4th, but 3 points. Now we have a 2-point game, but a power start advantage for FoCo. And also only 3 blockers out there for Wasatch. So a big opportunity for a lead change here for Spilly Idol. It's taking the Jam Star. All right, opting to go to the outside. Stopped momentarily, pushing through. Looking for some offensive help. Taco's up there to stop. Rails joins her. Spilly looking to try to get by Taco, and does. Billy Idol now on the scoring pass. Got a waiting tripod there. Good one-on-one blocking by Colonel Skirts. Glow job out of the box, back on the track. Looking to try to get by. And does. Good footwork on the outside by Glow job. But no, we have a cut track call on Glow. As the footwork, she did manage to step out. And it is Billy Idol with 4 points. We have our lead change. As it stands right now, 24-22, as Billy Idol goes in for another scoring pass. Cuts to the outside, good screen set up by her offense, but quick regrouping by Wasatch. Billy drawn back by Rails. Glow back into the track. Rails, very good one-on-one blocking against Billy Idol, who calls that one off just as a star pass occurred. And just like that, we have our first lead change of the game. It is now 27-22. Microbruisers up by 5. Sid Vicious up against Furious George. Vicious looking for a way through. Doesn't see it. Getting some offensive help. George on the outside pushed. But it is Sid Vicious out first. Good chance for FoCo to build up on that lead that they've built. Sid Vicious knocked out, but very quick to re-enter. No track cut on Sid Vicious. So now we have a power jam opportunity for Wasatch. And George is out. I believe lead may not be assessed in this jam, may go the full 2 minutes. We still have a little minute and 10 seconds left. Oh, hard hit takes down George. That was Breezy with that hit. Gonzo now back in for FoCo. Sid Vicious now in, getting through, getting by. Nice footwork. Steps past Bip to get by. 4 points for Sid Vicious. More good footwork on the outside this time, but a forearm penalty assessed to Sid Vicious sends her back to the box. George still fighting to try to get away through this pack here. Another power jam advantage though for Wasatch. Amazing defense put up by FoCo. And that ends the jam. George was able to get all 4 points on that, and a total of 6 points for the Microbruiser, so they extend their lead by a little bit here. And we have a power start for Wasatch as Knuckles goes out. We are off. Knuckles to the inside. Moving laterally to the out, kind of caught in the middle now. Looking for some offense, trying to weave their way through. But it is Sid Vicious back out on the track. Lead still open. Both skaters showing really good lateral work to try to get by those tripods. Not an easy feat at all. And now they are shoving and pushing to try to get some extra inches. Looks like we might be out of play for a little bit, so the blockers have to readjust to keep pack. Taco helping out up front with some offense for Knuckles. Bip goes to the penalty box for Wasatch. Nice spin move by Sid Vicious. Oh, but no, a cut track. As they were stepping over, they must have just stepped just outside. And so now we have another penalty jam for Wasatch, advantage Wasatch. However, Knuckles still has yet to get through at turn number 3 now. Trying to help out now, Colonel, helping with some offense. Knuckles is through to the outside. The lead goes to Knuckles. 25 seconds left in the jam. We're going to put up some points, is Knuckles. And does, 4 points. Sid Vicious, though, out back on the track. Nice move to the outside. No, is brought out, stepped out. Knuckles now, 7 seconds left, putting up more points for Wasatch. Good burst of speed by Sid Vicious, gets through. 3 more points for Knuckles, though. Total of 7 points on that one, and we have a tie game at 33. And we do have an official review. It is going to be the Micro Bruisers going to challenge something that happened at that last jam. So the coaches and captains will gather together and talk about what they saw and what they wish to challenge and see if they retain or lose their official review for this half. So if you've been enjoying Malice in the Mountains 2025, we have patches and stickers available for this event up at our concession table. So the stickers are available at our concessions. There is a QR code that you can scan to purchase a holographic tournament patch, and it will be mailed to you within this week. So just scan the QR code and fill out the order form. We will send you a request via Venmo or Square for debit or credit cards for the $8, and shipping is free. So scan that QR code up at the concession stand to get yourself a holographic Malice in the Mountains 2025 tournament patch. I'd like to announce for our local people here is Beehive Skate Revolution. They're having their last game of the season. It will be sponsored by Stubbs Dental. This is an event to benefit our officials and volunteers. That is going to be held on Saturday, December 13th at 7 p.m. So if you are here in the area on December 13th, be sure to stop by at 7. The first whistle starts at 7 p.m. for a family-friendly night of fun. And also a big thank you to the Pie Pizzeria, a longtime sponsor of Salt Lake Roller Derby and a sponsor of this tournament. Utah Valley Landmark since 1980. They continue to reign atop the best pizza list because of the business philosophy that consistency, equality, equitable pricing, and great service are the keys to success. All right, and FoCo was looking for a forearm call, which they got. That'll send the Wasatch Jammer to the penalty box, so penalty or jam start for FoCo. They will also retain their official review for the remainder of this half. 6 minutes left in the game, or it's in the half. So it is Tiffy Twister with the jam star for FoCo, shoving their way through, trying to get by, and does. Lead given to the Micro Bruisers. Now on a scoring run. This is a tie game at 33, so any points scored here does put FoCo up in the lead momentarily. But now it is Knuckles back into this on the track, trying to push their way through. Tiffy Twister drawn back by Orange Crusher. And Gonzo of FoCo goes to the penalty box. Tiffy Twister out for 4. Knuckles still trying to push their way through. Bodies at turn number 1, but we do have a star pass to Bip. And Tiffy Twister scores 4 more points and calls that off. Got an 8-point lead for FoCo. We are under 5 minutes left in our half. MDK Demolition taking the star, going up against Roller Bear of Wasatch. And got 1 player in the penalty box for FoCo. Demolition hit out and drawn back. Meanwhile, it is Roller Bear putting a shoulder down and pushing their way through for lead. Now, all the Wasatch games in this tournament have come down to the very last jam. This one doesn't appear that it'll be any different. Bear on a scoring run, trying to put some points up, close up that gap that's the FoCo has started to spread in their favor. Nice moves by Roller Bear. Good attempt by FoCo to slow them down, but unsuccessful. Roller Bear through. And for 4 more is Roller Bear. MDK Demolition still trying to find a way past this brutal Wasatch wall. But Roller Bear, a lot of speed, good juking, nice footwork is getting them through, although now they are caught up in a very stiff tripod put up by FoCo. Colonel Skirts up there to try to provide some offensive help. Pushed down for their trouble. MDK Demolition should have a bit of a slog going through there, but it is Roller Bear out for 4 more. 12 points for Roller Bear, and we have our lead change. We got a lot of bodies at turn number 3. MDK Demolition trying to get by Taco. Jam ends. 4 more points for Roller Bear, 16 points, and we have our lead change. Midnight Terror up by 8, 49 to 41. 2 minutes left in the game. We are going to have another official review by FoCo and see what they challenge at the end of that jam. I'll give you that information as soon as the officials are done discussing amongst themselves and the coaches and captains. Yeah, officials have come to their decision, so they're looking for a directional penalty, was FoCo against one of the Wasatch blockers. However, there was not enough information to support that challenge, so that the FoCo microboosters will lose their official review for the rest of the game. There are only 2 minutes left in the rest of this half, so they will get another official review that they can use in the second half of the game. Spilly Idol up against Devil's Ivy. Both teams crushing right at the start of the jam. Wasatch just put themselves in the lead. It is Devil's Ivy out. Spilly Idol, though, good offense, and Spilly Idol is free. Now we have on a scoring run as Devil's Ivy through for 4, calls it off. See if they called it in time. They did call it in time, so 4 points for Wasatch. That'll extend their lead up to 11 as we are in the last 1 minute, 25 seconds. Probably enough time for one more jam. Sid Vicious out there for FoCo, who's definitely been able to put up some good points. Knuckles is out there for Wasatch. Good footwork by Vicious to get through. It takes a hit, stays in bounds, keeps going. Excellent control by Sid Vicious. But it is Colonel Skirts with the hit and the save for Wasatch. Lead is still open. We have a multiplayer call as a FoCo blocker will go to the box. Sid Vicious, though, unable to be contained for too much longer, gets free. Good chance for Sid Vicious to do what they do very well, and that is put up some points. But it is Knuckles out of the pack now. Sid Vicious with lead, gets some points, calls that one off. That should end our half here. 3 points given to FoCo. And that brings our score at intermission to 53-44. Midnight Terror on top, but that may not be entirely safe. And I'm sure the microbruiser is going to be spending this 15 minutes to talk about what they can do to regain that lead and keep it as we go into the last 30 minutes of our final game here at Malice in the Mountains. We'll be back in about 14 minutes. All right, 1 minute left before we start up again, or for the last half of our last game for this Malice in the Mountains tournament here at the Derby Depot in Salt Lake City. Right now the score is Midnight Tear up 53-44. Microbruisers have already come from behind once to retake the lead, so hopefully threatening to do that again here. We'll start off with, looks like one of the FoCo blockers in the penalty box as we begin our second half. And we have Tiffy Twister, number 77 in the light blue for FoCo, going up against Knuckles, number 25 for Wasatch in the dark jersey. All right, rolling whistle, gets us going. And we have our first jam of the second half underway. This is a big pushing match, as it's been several times in the game. But no, it is Knuckles going to the bench for a high block. So Tiffy Twister, with some offensive help, gets pushes out and gets lead. So here is that opportunity for the Microbruisers to take back the lead in the game. Swings to the outside to get by some players, but Wasatch quickly reforms to get in front of Tiffy Twister. Let's see if they can get some offensive help before Knuckles rejoins. Tiffy Twister out for 4. Have ourselves a 5-point game now. Knuckles slams into the pack, trying to get free. Tiffy Twister coming around, a second scoring pass. We have a forearm call on, looks like Gonzo of FoCo, and Knuckles is out of the pack. Tiffy Twister looking to score a few more points here. Knuckles coming in for the run, getting by. Knuckles scoring a few more points before that getting called off. And so as that ends, the Microbruisers with 8 points to the Midnight Tear's 3, but Midnight Tear holding on a lead, 56-52. Roller Bear out there against MDK Demolition. Now this time both teams start right up at the pivot line. Demolition recycled back, Bear lowering a shoulder to try to get through a tripod. All right, FoCo pivot goes to the penalty box. And FoCo now running into some penalty troubles. Another blocker goes to the box, and Bear gets free, taking lead. Bear swings to the outside to try to get through, get some offensive help from Colonel Skirts, but is caught up. Very good one-on-one blocking. I believe that might be, yes, Gonzo, but not able to hold Bear for too long. Bear is through for 4. And we do have our star pass now, as Peter Panic is now the jammer for FoCo. Bear through for another 4. Getting some encouragement from her team. Bear going through on the outside, cuts to the end. Meanwhile, as Peter Panic still trying to get through that Wasatch tripod. Bear out for 4 more. Bear with a big run here. That is really going to help that Wasatch lead. And Bear 4 more. Gonzo there to stop, but Bear able to maintain and keep going. 16 points for Roller Bear. Tried for an apex jump, did Roller Bear, but did not make it. And that jam time expires. Roller Bear with a 17-point jam. The second biggest jam that we've had here. Sid Vicious put up the biggest jam that we've had this tournament with 20 points. And so now it is 73-52 with that jam, really extending that Midnight Terror lead by 21 points. That the FoCo is more than capable of catching up and trying to overtake that. But Ivy bursts out of the pack first for lead. Spilly Idol shoving their way through, trying to get by the rest of the pack. Ivy in for a scoring pass, goes to the outside, stays in bounds. Not out of the pack yet, but I believe they may have gotten all 4 points. No, they only got their 3 points, but 3 points for Devil's Ivy. And we have Bowser taking the Jam Star for the first time this tournament for FoCo, going up against Knuckles. All right, so we'll see what Bowser can do as a jammer. Both jammers go to the inside. Knuckles with some footwork stays in, gets through. And we do have a star pass. I believe that's Peter Panic now with a star for FoCo. Knuckles tries for the inside, but that's cut off. Still able to get 1 point on that was Knuckles. And now Sid Vicious comes out for FoCo. And we will have a team timeout. Wasn't sure if Wasatch was trying for an official review, but it looks like a team timeout. Oh, no, we do have an official review for Wasatch. Official review, Wasatch. So each team gets 1 official review per half. Midnight Terror using theirs now. If the official side with them, they will retain that. Otherwise, they will lose it for the rest of the half or the rest of the game. Midnight Terror still has all 3 of their team timeouts left. Micro Bruisers still have only 2. So the Micro Bruisers did call a team timeout before that official review was called, so they do use up 1 of their team timeouts. They will only have 1 left for the game, but then the official review was called by Wasatch. So right now they are challenging something on that last play. The officials are now discussing it amongst themselves, and they'll get back to the captains and coaches and tell them their findings, and I'll announce that information to you when we get it. All right, Wasatch challenging a back block against the Bowser when they were the jammer for FoCo. However, the officials did not see that, so Wasatch will lose their official timeout. Will not have one for the rest of the game. Still have their 3-team timeouts. So we're back into it with Roller Bear going up against Sid Vicious. Both jammers extremely capable of putting up big points. Roller Bear up at turn number 1. Combination of footwork and shoving to try to get their way through. Sid Vicious knocked down, going to be recycled back as Roller Bear gets lead. Roller Bear now going to the outside and is knocked out. Nice hit by 313 Haterade. And the pivot for FoCo will go to the penalty box for an illegal position. And Roller Bear is free. 4 points for Roller Bear. Right now we have the biggest lead of the game. We have 29 points. Roller Bear trying to find a way through just as Sid Vicious is being recycled by Colonel Skirts. Bear out again. Just as Vicious is now being recycled once again, this time by Bip of Wasatch. Roller Bear shoved out by Gonzo. Nice hit by Taco to allow Bear to enter in without having to be recycled the full 20 feet back. And now right in front of us here at turn number 4, the big shoving match going on. And that jam ends. 12 points though put up by Bear. Bear putting up some big numbers here in this last game of the tournament here. And now we have 89-52. That is the biggest lead of the game put up by Wasatch. So FoCo's gonna have to start digging in and looking how to retake that lead. Tiffy Twister up against Devil's Ivy. Both teams starting right up at the jam line. Both jammers on the inside of the track. Got a multiplayer call on a FoCo blocker. Devil's Ivy trying some lateral movements to split up that tripod. Sees the opening on the outside, takes it and is through. Now on their scoring run is Ivy. Tiffy Twister trying to work their way past. A nice hit by number 20. That is Dad Zeppelin of FoCo to bring back Devil's Ivy. Tiffy Twister looks at a penalty sent to the box, and now we have power jam opportunity for Wasatch. A couple of screen blocks to kind of open up the inside, but it is don't care, or Ivy is through for 4. Going on to their second scoring run. Past one blocker. Past the rest, and that is 4 more points for Devil's Ivy. The pivot for Wasatch goes to the box. Tiffy Twister back out on the track, doing some defensive work against Ivy. Tiffy Twister, nice footwork on the inside, gets on through. And Ivy is gonna have to call that one off before she can score some points. But a big 8 points put up by Ivy. Now we have a 97-52 game. All right, Knuckles for Wasatch going up against MDK Demolition for FoCo. Team starting up at the pivot line. This gives the jammers some time to build up some speed before hitting those walls. Recycled back is Demolition. Knuckles caught up in the tripod. It's like we have a high block call on Off the Rails of Wasatch. Bip of Wasatch comes back up on the track from the penalty box. MDK Demolition trying for the outside. Colonel Skirts is there. Knuckles still trying to find a way through. Everyone caught up between turns 1 and 2 right now. MDK trying to push through, knock some players down. Still has 2 players to beat though. That's Bip and Colonel Skirts. Very good tandem team. Now that penalty box is clear. And we are gonna have a penalty on Breezy for a directional hit against Knuckles. We're about to get back underway here. I think our medical volunteers have been keeping our skaters safe during this tournament. Spilly Idol against Roller Bear. Both jammers meet up those tripods. Roller Bear very quick and very strong, hard to contain. Gets by for a lead. Spilly Idol muscling their way through. Not quite out of the pack yet as Roller Bear now comes along for their scoring run. Team's getting some offensive help, and it is Spilly Idol able to push through, got out of the pack. Roller Bear calls that one off. Gains all 4 points in the process, though, extending that Wasatch lead. All right, Sid Vicious will go out there with the jam star for FoCo against Devil's Ivy. Both jammers go to the inside, halted up there right at the jam line. Sticking to the inside of Sid Vicious. Ivy working laterally to try to find a way through. Sid Vicious has very good footwork, but not quite able to get through the pack. Ivy moving from inside to outside of the track. Lead still open for these teams. Vicious, though, gets a little bit of daylight on the outside and is through for lead. It is Sid Vicious now attacking on a scoring run. Goes down, get back up, stays inside the track. We have a no pass, no penalty given to Ivy, I believe, yes. As Sid Vicious is now being recycled by Lavender Menace. Goes back in, quick feet has Sid Vicious, but not enough to get through. Pushed off to the outside and sent back. Devil's Ivy still trying to get through that pack on turn number 1. But Sid Vicious on a scoring run of their own, but not able to make a whole lot of progress against this Wasatch tripod. We do have a star pass that goes to Bip, and that is called off. 3 points gained by Sid Vicious, though. Good, hard-earned 3 points. Bowser once again. Big Boss Bowser for FoCo out with the Jam Star. So the FoCo pivot will be starting in the penalty box. And we are going to have an official timeout. It's like they're talking with the Wasatch coach about something. We'll see if we can get going here in just a little bit. No, we have a team timeout. Team timeout now called by Wasatch. That is what the discussion is. So 1 minute for these teams to talk things over with their teams, with the officials, with each other to take a rest, talk about what they want to do on the track coming up here. We are just about halfway done, 15 minutes and 3 seconds left in this game. Our final game of Malice in the Mountains 2025. Midnight Terror up 101-54 against the Microbruisers. We are back at it. Big Boss Bowser going up against Roller Bear. Roller Bear's had a couple of big jams here since when they've been taking the track. All right, we are out. Both teams. Oh, a big hit by Bowser right off the line to bring back down Roller Bear, but Roller Bear up quickly. Bowser trying to muscle their way past that Wasatch tripod. Caught up around turn number 2, but they've got a lot of strength, but are finally pushed out. And now it's Roller Bear trying to get through as well, and does, for lead to Roller Bear of Wasatch. On their scoring run now is, oh, we do have a forearm call on Roller Bear, so now we have our power jam opportunity as Breezy takes the star pass, and so now Breezy will have a full minute of jam time. We'll have 30 seconds, allowing some offensive help to get some points up here for FoCo. Very good on their feet is Breezy, and they are through for 4. There'll be 30 seconds left in the jam when Roller Bear comes back out on the track. Breezy, good footwork, back through for 4 more. 8 points for Breezy. Roller Bear on the track again. Breezy knocked out by Colonel Skirts. Roller Bear attacking a tripod of FoCo. Right around turn number 3 is Roller Bear now, trying to get by, but no, there's a good formation of FoCo blockers right in her way. Breezy's momentum being halted by Wasatch, and that ends the jam. We run out of time, but 8 points put up by Breezy, or no, 11 points put up by Breezy, 4 points put up by Roller Bear at the very end there. And we have ourselves a 105-65 game. Penalty box is clear. Tiffy Twister up against Knuckles. Wasatch defenders starting right up on that jam line. Knuckles trying to push their way through, getting some offensive help by Bip, but are now caught up right in the middle of a vicious FoCo tripod. Tiffy Twister, though, has a difficult task up against the Wasatch tripod right up here at the jam line. Nice moves by Tiffy Twister. They are still on their feet, pushing forward. Will they get lead? One more to beat. And taken down by Orange Crusher. No, not taken down. They stayed inside and gained lead. Great job by Tiffy Twister to stay in bounds. Apex jump by Tiffy Twister. They land it. Yes, they did. All 4 points. And Knuckles goes to the penalty box, so that is going to, or no. So we have ourselves a penalty or a power jam advantage for Tiffy Twister, who sweeps on by for 4 more points, 8 points, really trying to close up that lead. There is time to do it, still time to take the win in this game. Tiffy Twister on through, 1 more to beat. Bip stopping her momentarily, but has to let her go. Tiffy Twister is free, 12 points. Knuckles jammer back in for Wasatch. Tiffy Twister not able to stay in. Almost made it through. I believe did get all the points, but is going to be recycled to the very back of the pack. And Knuckles trying to fight her way through a tripod right up here at the jam line. And Tiffy Twister, nice work to get through for some more points. Tiffy Twister with 3 more points at the very end there. Very good job to close up that lead that the Midnight Terror had. Big run for the Microbruisers. So we will be at about 10 minutes left as this next jam starts. And we have an official timeout. Now stop our clock and see what the officials wish to talk about here. Our game is back on. Devil's Ivy going up against MDK Demolition. Both teams starting right up at that jam line, cutting off that jammer momentum as much as they can. Ivy, though, some quick, light feet, trying to push up ahead. Demolition caught in a vicious tripod. Devil's Ivy is through for lead. But MDK Demolition now is out of the pack. See what Ivy can do for points. Let's see, MDK Demolition, if they, yes, they did get 1 point. Ivy for 4, but 1 point gained by MDK Demolition, racing around the track to get that before that jam could be called off. Now Spilly Idol up against Roller Bear. And Wasatch again deciding to go right up at that jam line. Spilly Idol with a burst of speed, still has one, but good reforming by the Wasatch defenders before she could get loose for lead. Roller Bear staying in bounds after a good hit. And we have a power jam now as Spilly Idol is sent to the box. Did not see what the penalty was there, but this will be a good opportunity for Wasatch to really increase that lead as we are in the final minutes of this game. Get setting up a screen. We have a direction call against BIP, the Wasatch pivot. Breezy and Gonzo working well together, as well as Peter Panic to really hold back Roller Bear. Spilly Idol back into the game. Looks like we had a head block up against Gonzo. They go to the box. Spilly Idol is out and free. And now Roller Bear's through. And Roller Bear having to call that one off. Spilly Idol, great job out of the box, breaking through the pack. And that forces Roller Bear to have to call that off before they could be in a position to score some points. And now we have Sid Vicious up against Knuckles. 7 minutes left in the game. And we are off. Sid Vicious, both jammers crushing into line. Knuckles finding a little bit of daylight. Jacqueline Hyde is right there to stop her, but Knuckles pushing through it forward. Feet keep moving forward, unable to stop them. They're able to spread out that pack and get through. Sid Vicious knocked out by Colonel Skirts. 4 points for Knuckles. They spin right around the last of the FoCo defenders. Coming around on their second scoring run now is Knuckles. Sid Vicious having a bit of a battle of her own right here behind the jam line. But they do find a way to get through. Bip tries to go for a save, but it is out of play. Sid Vicious is now through, and Knuckles calls that one off. Able to score 4 more points. 8 points for Knuckles. And Big Boss Bowser out again for FoCo up against Devil's Ivy. Bowser goes to the outside, but is knocked out by Orange Crusher. Big burst of speed, a lot of strength. Bowser shoves into the Wasatch tripod, spreads it out. Couple more defenders to beat, gets lead, does Big Boss Bowser. A lot of power there to get that lead. Ivy with a couple blockers to beat, gets through, does. Crashing in with speed and strength is Bowser, through for 4. And they call that one off. And we are at 5 minutes left in our game. Midnight Terror up 117 to 85. Got our last few jams here. Over a couple of big jams by the FoCo put them right within position to take this game, and there are still enough time for a couple of more jams to go. So Tiffy Twister up against the Wasatch tripod. At the jam line is Roller Bear trying to find some way through. Tried to go to the outside, but that is plugged up. Finds the inside and gets by Jacqueline Hyde for lead. And we have ourselves a power jam as Tiffy Twister is sent to the box. Now Roller Bear trying to find some space. Can't find it though, gonna have to be recycled. See if we can get some offensive help from Wasatch. Dragging on the inside, trying to get through, but strong regrouping by FoCo to hold back Roller Bear. Excellent penalty kill by the Micro Bruisers. Tiffy Twister shoving around, back on the track, back on turn number 1. Trying to get through the Wasatch tripod. Roller Bear trying to put up some points. And it is Tiffy Twister on through. That is going to call off the jam. But 4 points by Roller Bear. As we go into 3 minutes left, that is going to make the Midnight Terror feel pretty comfortable in these last few jams. But they still want to fight for those lead positions to take control of that clock. We have Knuckles out there for Wasatch going up against MDK Demolition. Demolition to the inside. Tries to get by Wasatch, two wall of Wasatch. Knuckles muscling through, bursting to speed and lead. And a good star pass to Breezy. Breezy now this jammer for FoCo. Knuckles coming in on a scoring run. Slamming into the tripod. Now being halted by FoCo. Breezy on through the pack. Knuckles trying to get a few points, may be able to get all 4. See what they decide to do here. They do call that off before Breezy can do a scoring run of their own. And effectively getting 3 points in the process. Minute 40 or minute 30 left when we start our next jam. This could be the last jam should Wasatch decide to get lead and decide to run out the clock. We will see what happens. Spilly Idol against Ivy. Spilly Idol trying to shove in the middle, but Wasatch defenders are bunched up pretty tightly. Ivy to the inside. Good solo blocking by Breezy, but Ivy is free. Not out of the pack yet, though. Lead has not been assessed. Spilly Idol on by Skirts. And we have our lead is Spilly Idol. 50 seconds left in the period. Spilly up against a tripod. Meanwhile, Ivy caught behind a very solid tripod of FoCo. Yeah, Ivy had a couple of chances to break free there, but there's always one of the FoCo defenders able to quickly get in place to stop that. Spilly Idol trying to get by at turn number 3 and is pushed out and going to be sent back. Ivy looking for a way past FoCo. 10 seconds left in the game. 35 seconds left in the jam. And our period clock has expired. 25 seconds left in the jam. As Spilly goes through for 4. Ivy is free. Spilly slams in, trying to get another point, calls it off. And one more point for Spilly Idol. And our unofficial score is 124. Midnight Terror up ahead of the Micro Bruisers. The rolling whistle ends the game. And that is your game. The Midnight Terror win this 124-90 against the FoCo Microbruisers. That was every bit of an intense defensive game as we hoped for, and really fun to watch these jammers having to fight against some brutal, brutal tripods and walls, and some great solo and tandem blocking put up by these pivots and blockers. All right, and so that ends Malice in the Mountains 2025. So thank you all for coming out and watching this on the live stream. And I will sign off for now.